everyone, and welcome to my channel Mom Story by Sahana. Like you've already seen in the promos, that today we are going to have a very special guest, and she's going to share her adoption story with all of us and how she went through her journey of adopting a beautiful daughter, Adya. And she is Dr. Paromita Patra, and now she's going to let us know about herself a little bit, and then we'll get set go with her journey. Okay, so let's get started. Hi Paromita, welcome to my channel.
Hi, hi. Thank you for having me here. Okay, so like I told you already, I'm an ENT surgeon and I'm about 39 years of age. And yes, I am a proud single mother of Adya. I brought her home last year, so it's going to be almost a year this month.
Okay,
So
so you're going to celebrate a homecoming soon then.
yeah, we've already celebrated her birthday, so now it's going to be her homecoming very soon.
Wow, wonderful. So, to start with, Paromita, as you're a doctor, and I'm sure like you're really a busy person. So, and so I would like to know, like, what was this motivation behind, adoption, first thing. Secondly, and doing this parenting single-handedly, because that is something, very challenging, because as couples struggle so much to, like parent a child, and having the courage to like do it all by like yourself. So how was that, like the thought came to your mind, or where was this motivation, like how was it driven?
Actually, it's the type of turns that my life has taken over the years. I did not set out, to be honest, I did not set out to be a single mom. I had never thought I would land up being a single mom. But then when I found myself after a very nasty divorce, I found myself alone in life. So I took 2 to 3 years to think about it. What do I want to do? And I was sure that I didn't want to get married again, but I was sure I wanted to become a parent. And not only of one girl child, I wanted to have two. So, and then I started reading up online what are my options of adopting, because I was not aware of, or I don't know anybody personally who's adopted as a single mother. So, a lot of things were available in the Kara website. So, I read up, and then thankfully, I have a very good friend who counseled me. So, counseling was almost available at home for me. So I went through that process, which is very important because you have to make up your mind and you have to be sure of yourself before you bring another human being into your life. So that is how I made up my mind. I took 2 to 3 years to come to the decision that yes, now I'm ready. Now I want to enroll for my adoption. So then I went ahead and registered myself. And obviously, I had to talk to my parents about it. My parents, my father was on board immediately. My mom took some convincing and took some time to come to terms with it. And then finally, because I'm an only child, so I don't have a huge family. So
Mhm.
I had to have my parents' support to be able to bring up a child alone. And that is very important because I am working full time. I am called on emergencies at odd hours. So if I don't have anybody at home to take care of my child in my absence, whom I can trust, then that was my prime issue. So after that, the Kara process started, and that was very painful and very long wait.
Okay.
So
If you can throw some like light, and some
yeah,
you can give some information that what kind of questions they asked, like what were their like way of doing a home study for a
correct.
single parent,
Yeah,
so that would
yeah.
actually help us a lot.
I was very lucky in that way because I did not feel any discrimination at all.
Mhm.
From the moment that I had started my process, I was lucky to have interacted with very helpful people. The SAA that I had chosen, the specialized adoption agency that I had chosen, I was in a small town in Bhilai, Chhattisgarh, which is not my hometown. I was working there at that point of time. But there were two social workers who were very helpful with the process. They sat down with me and they were like, "Are you sure you don't want to get married again? Because then this might be a hurdle to it." And they also counseled me a little bit. And then, but in a very gentle manner. They were not rude, they were not discriminating at all. And then they came for my home visit. They just wanted to see if my family is on board. So I told them I just have my parents, and my mom was not present at that time. My dad was there. So, and they asked the regular questions that in your absence, who will be responsible for the kid because you're alone, and will what is your financial status? I told them that this is what I do, so that they were fine, and they were happy. In fact, that the child will come into a doctor family because my father is also a doctor. So they were like, the educational background they were happy with, and just routine questions of who is there in the family and who is going to take care of the child. That was their prime concern. And I also have two pets, so I told them that these are the dogs, and I showed them, and they were like, okay, fine, they're well trained dogs, and you have enough space, so that is fine. So that was all that it took. And that same day, the same evening, they had uploaded my HSR report. So they were very quick with it, and they were very nice with it. So I have not faced any unpleasantness, and I'm hoping, and I've spoken to other people also on Facebook, all the support groups that we have, and I don't think anybody has faced such a bad discrimination or anything. The process is the same for everybody. Their concern, the main concern is, if you're a single parent in your absence, who is going to take care of your child? That is their main concern. So if you can please them on that, satisfy them on that, they're fine.
So, Parumita, I want to know one more thing. Like you said, your mother was not, like okay in the
Yeah.
very first go. Okay. So, what
Yeah.
were her apprehensions? Like, why she was not pretty okay with that? So, I'm sure she would be concerned about you. That's the reason why she would have had any sort of apprehension. So, if you can
It is a little
share.
old fashioned. The reason is very old fashioned. The first thing that came to her is, it will not be our lineage, it will not be our blood. That is what her main concern was. And if you bring a child home, then surely you will never get married again. So she was still not convinced that I'm not going to get married again. So that was her main concern. And then my dad and me, we sat down and we spoke that how much in the long run does blood matter? Because I don't have siblings of my own, but I have a very good friend circle. So they are not blood relatives, but they are still as good as siblings. So that's how we spoke to her. And then once the child came home, then there was nothing. She forgot all her inhibitions and everything. Challenges, yes, right from the maternity leave that I applied for. And at the same time, I had a colleague who was having a natural biological child, and she was given around 6 months of leave. And I landed up with only 1 month of leave. And that too, I had to wait for 6 months after bringing home my child. And then I got a month of leave. So, and since I work at a private institution, they don't have a proper leave policy for adoptive parents. They've never thought about it. They've never encountered such a situation. So when I spoke to the authorities, they were like, okay, we'll give you 1 month of paid leave, and then you can go on unpaid leave. So that was the situation at work. And then, yes, there are sly comments because everybody is educated around us and the neighbors and all that. They will be coming to my mom, and I was like, oh, she's so beautiful, but there's always a but
Oh,
there.
okay.
But then, yeah, she's so pretty, she's so cute, but so, but then we learn to ignore such things. But my main challenge is, now my child is just 15 months old. When she grows up, I have to
Right.
make her come to terms with the subtle discrimination. One, the question of not having a father around, father figure or father around, that is there. That is a main concern as it is. And then all these sly comments. So we need support groups, because I am also learning every day. I'm learning how to deal with my child. So that way, the Facebook support groups have been of immense help, so that I can learn from other parents' journey, how they went about telling their child that she's adopted, he or she is adopted, or
Mhm.
how to deal with the fact that you don't have a father, you just have me as a parent. So how, because the child is too small to comprehend at this stage. So every stage the child has to be educated, and the child has to be taught to deal with the challenges. Because me being an adult, I can deal with it in my own way.
Correct.
My main challenge is to prepare my child to face all this. I'm just learning from the other parents' journey. And like I told you, I have a psychiatrist friend who's like, I've been blessed that way that I have a very close friend who's a psychiatrist. So I deal with my issues with her. I talk it out with her. And I also talk it out with her about my child's possible dilemma. How do I deal with it so that I cause minimal trauma? I don't want to traumatize her from the day one. So that way she helps. So if you don't have, not everybody has a psychiatrist in their own circle, but then don't be afraid to seek help and to seek counseling, because we need all the help that we can get, so that ultimately we can benefit our kids. So that
Correct.
is how, and we cannot do it without proper counseling or proper channeling, because otherwise we'll be just bulldozing ahead without any
True, true,
guidance.
true. So this question is very, very important. Like, how was your
Yeah.
experience? Like in the of the process, or I would say the system. Okay, like once you got the referral and where you had to go get your baby. So how was your experience? Was the agency really cooperative, or did you have to face any sort of challenges over there?
The main challenge was, this was the first adoption that they were doing through Kara in the district.
Okay.
So even they did not know. I had to read up and I had to educate them. And of the first day that I got a call from them, they didn't know what to do about it. And the COVID situation was at its peak at that time. The travel was not smooth. And they were like, Aapko aana hai. You just have to land up. And it was in Rajasthan,
Okay.
thousands of kilometers away from where I stay. And aapko aana hai, it is not that easy that you have to come and meet the child and then you have to confirm that you want to reserve this child, and then again you have to come back. I was like, see, this is not how things are working in the COVID situation. Let me get back to you. So I got in touch with Kara, I got in touch with Sara, and I asked them, how are things going on? Because it is impossible for me to travel 4 times up
Correct.
and down just for this process. And then the Sara was very helpful. The person in Sara, he spoke to the agency and he sorted it out, and he arranged for an online video call through which I could see the baby and then I could reserve. So that was the first step that the Sara helped me out with. And then there was a social worker in the agency, the local agency, who was smart enough, or who was savvy enough to be able to help me out with all the nitty gritties.
Hmm.
So he was helpful, but they were not used to dealing with women. They were used to dealing
Okay.
with men. So they had a culture shock that, why is this female dealing with us? Why is this female talking to the lawyer? The lawyer he refused to speak to me. He was like, नहीं नहीं आप अपने guardian को बुलाइए. I was like, I am the guardian of the child. मैं अपने guardian को कैसे बुलाऊं? So it took some time to convince the lawyer that, no, see, you are going to have to deal with me. So get on with it. So then he sat down and he was like, no, you will have to come twice or thrice. I was like, no, this is not happening. So I had to educate him. I had to go myself and talk to the magistrate that, sir, this is how things are, and I have come from very far off, and I don't want to be traveling with my kid also. So the magistrate was very helpful. He said that, no, you don't have to come with the child again. This is done. Now you can come back alone. You have to come back once just for the court order, and then I'll give you all your documents.
Mhm.
So that way. So there were people who were very helpful. There were people who were resistant, and me being a female, and they were like, why are you talking to us? You send some male person to talk to us. So that was their cultural shock, but then you have to bulldoze through it. I mean, there's no other way. Because of COVID, I couldn't take chances. I couldn't be dragging along my father. He's 60 plus. I
Correct.
couldn't be dragging him along with me all through the land. So that is how. But yes, my challenge was the agency was not experienced enough, and the lawyers. they are usually not very helpful. They want dates and all. They want repeat appearances.
Yeah.
So he's like, I want 20,000 for this. I want 10,000 for this. So I was like, initially I was not trying to bargain, but then I thought that, okay, then I'll get myself a new lawyer. I don't want you.
Mm.
So then he fell in line.
Okay, so Paramita, so how was the welcome of your daughter at your home? Like, was it a very grand event, or it was a very small, like a very private event for you, for your
Uh,
family?
all her events had to be private, small scale, because the COVID situation is not going away. So the time when we brought her, we couldn't have our entire family, extended family here to for her welcome because of the infection. So it was only my mom who was waiting at home, and me and my dad brought her home, and the dogs, obviously. So that was there. It was a warm welcome. We had all this video calls and everything. Everybody got to see her through video calls, but it was all the warmth that any baby would have got walking into their home. So
Correct.
that was very heartwarming. And even her rice ceremony and everything, we had to do it on a small scale. So it
Right.
was just us, me, my parents, and Babu was there just.
So how did you manage the travel and all during that COVID time with such a small baby?
Actually, my only assurance was the COVID was not affecting the younger children, the infants and the children. So that way I was secure. And we just took precautions. Like even the flight was not very crowded,
Mm.
and they were also taking precautions for the COVID situation. So there was no overcrowding in the flight or in the waiting areas or anything. The travel was smooth. The only challenge was the flights were getting cancelled left, right, and center. So we had to reschedule a couple of times. So
Okay.
that was there, and the remote place that we had to go to. So we had to take a car journey, and then there was a lot of travel. But thankfully, such a small baby, but she cooperated. She did not have any trouble. And thanks to my Facebook support group, I had a list of things that I needed to buy for the baby, such a young baby.
True, true.
All sorts of feeding situation and nappy and everything, the diapers and everything. So I was ready. When I went, I had this whole suitcase full of stuff that the baby might need. And so I was well prepared for whatever she might need.
How much importance do you give uh, to forming a community of only like adoptive parents and like adoptive children? So do you think forming such kind of a community and like talking to them or meeting them often, that would help help our children like to cope up with like maybe I won't say it adoption trauma as such, but the fact that they are adopted, like will that be helpful in normalizing that? Do you think so?
Yeah, if they share their experiences, if they're old enough to share their experiences and understand what each, so whatever the journey they are going through, if they are old enough, and before that it doesn't really make sense because they'll just get together and play. They're not old enough to understand what they're going through. So yeah, I mean, having a community, like I said, having a support group has helped me. I think
Mhm.
my daughter might also be helped by certain situations which the other friend might be going through. So they can talk it out. Sometimes they won't be able to talk it out with us. Maybe they'll talk it out with their kids. So yeah, it is nice to have people going through similar experiences and to be able to talk it out with them. But such groups should not be exclusive. I mean, they ultimately have to go into the mainstream where all sorts of
Correct.
people mingle together. So that should not be their exclusive support group. They should
Mhm.
be, my daughter, I'm all for it that you should go for the mainstream so that you mingle with all sorts of friends.
Mhm. But at the same time, I think having a community parallelly should
Yeah,
be helpful,
definitely.
right?
Yes, yes, because she should have a group of friends who are going through similar journeys together so they
Mhm.
can talk about it.
So Parumita, like after we have discussed so much about like single parenting with the limited time that we had, so would you like to give some tips or some kind of message to the viewers who are probably considering being a single parent but slightly like hesitating, or if they have any kind of resisting to like step ahead. So would you like to give some tips and some message to such parents?
Definitely. From my own experience, I can just tell them there's nothing to worry about. But yes, you have to be mentally prepared for anything that comes, which is true for any parent, be it a single parent, be it a normal parent, whatever. But you have to have your support in place. You have to find a nanny if you're working in your absence, a trustworthy nanny, a trustworthy family member. And if you cannot have, if your parents are elderly or if they're not around, if you cannot have your parents, be ready with your CCTV cameras, be ready with your nannies, and they will make your life easier. So that, and the a large part of a working mother's or working parents' life is spent on feeling guilty. So one of the first things that my therapist said is get rid of that guilt. You are doing the best that you can. Obviously, instinctively, you are doing the best that you can for your child. So don't ruin it by feeling guilty about anything. Do the best that you can. Stretch yourself as much as you can, but don't give up on your mental peace. Because if you are not a happy mom, then you will not be able to bring up a happy child. So be a content and peaceful mother or a father, and just be strong. That is the only way to move ahead. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Help as in hired help, help as in for your mental health, help as in for your physical health. Because once you start asking for it, you will discover that there are so many people who are around you who are willing to help. There are nice people who are willing to help. You just have to ask for it. You just have to reach out. So you don't have to do it alone. There will be people who will be able to help you. So just go ahead with it. Just be sure first that you this is what you want, and then go for it. That is all.
Okay. Wow. Thank you so much, Paramita, for sharing such valuable insight for all the single parents out there, and who are willing to be single parents out there. So thank you so much for your valuable time and coming on my channel and sharing your beautiful adoption journey with us. So thanks once again. Thank you, viewers, for watching this episode. And I'm going to come up with more such adoption stories and beautiful stories around, and a lot of insight towards, like a concept called as adoption. So don't go anywhere. Stay tuned to my channel, Mom Story by Sana. Take care. Tata. Bye bye. Namaskar.